This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at Theatrum Elysium, San Pedro Rep, for the presentation of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing.
Hello, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you?
My name is Paris Langley, and I'm the Director of PR and Communications for the theater company, as well as being an actor in the company. I grew up as a missionary kid, so I traveled a lot when I was a child, all over the world. I was homeschooled, and I didn't really get into acting or theater until later in my life. I was actually a professionally trained ballerina for years and years, and I still have that training in my body, which we use in our sort of interactive, immersive, dance-heavy shows, which was great that I happened to stumble onto this company about 2 years ago, actually, through a friend, and I saw their production of Cymbeline, which Aaron Gaddens directed, and it absolutely blew me away because I didn't know that kind of theater could exist in LA. I went to school at Columbia University in New York City, and I graduated with a degree in creative nonfiction, so hence the writer part of my personality, my skill set. That's why I'm the Director of PR Communications here. And I've been doing, I think this is my 8th show with the company, 7th show, something like that. By the end of the season, I will have done 10 in a row. And each one has just been an extraordinary challenge and has pushed me as an artist and taught me a lot of things that I didn't know, since I hadn't previously been educated in theater or anything of that sort. So, yeah.
Interesting. And which characters did you play?
I played Don John and Dogberry, so absolutely opposite type of characters. Yeah. Don John, I would say, is the malevolent mischief maker extraordinaire who is only happy when he's messing with other people's lives and sort of breaking down happiness in the world. He's the one that comes up with all the schemes and the plots, and he's in cahoots with Braccio and also with Conrad against his brother Don Pedro and Claudio, of course. And I like to look at him as a sort of prisoner of war, begrudgingly in the company of all these people, doesn't want to be here, looks for opportunities to screw things up. And then Dogberry is the absolute antithesis of that, who just this larger-than-life cartoon character who just is so confident and so benevolent in his way and so jolly and full of pride for his watch, and he just sails through life with his partner at his side, Burgess.
First of all, I loved your portrayals. You actually portray, because this form of Shakespeare, this Shakespeare, wasn't one of my favorites because it's not dramatic. You know, it's not a tragedy.
No, it's not.
And you don't see anti-heroes, and you don't see a lot of colorful characters. But you actually played the colorful characters.
I did, and that was sort of the challenge that I was given upon starting this rehearsal process. Like I said, I played many different types of characters, many diverse characters in this company. I have never played a villain before, and I've never done as extraordinarily just confident enthusiasm in a character such as Dogberry in terms of the physical comedy side of things. So yeah, it's been interesting and it's been a journey, but I think that that's where the fun in it too lies, and that's where the playfulness comes out of being able to explore those absolutely different tropes. Mm-hmm.
I think you did really well. You were my favorite actor today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much for being on the show.
No problem. Thank you.
Hello, this is Ashton Marcus with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
Chris Lang, Managing Director, TE San Pedro Rep, and Head of Voice and Speech, and playing Don Pedro in Much Ado About Nothing. I've been here in LA for about 3 years now, working with Theatrum Elysium in a bunch of different capacities, and before that, met the artistic director while we were classmates at Harvard together, and that's where this dream was kind of born of running the kind of theater that we want to run, and seeing the kind of theater that we want to see here, especially in LA.
Great, and which characters did you play?
Don Pedro and the First Watchman, who apparently has a name of George C. Cole, though never called that, but a couple of times.
Could I have a short synopsis of your favorite?
Well, Don Pedro is great, but I love playing the Watchman just because there's so much to paint. There's so much, we just come on and get recruited to the watch by Dogberry and Vergis. We have no idea what's going on, and we sort of get thrown into it and fall kind of backwards into, like, solving the problem of the play. And it's physical comedy, and it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun playing together out there.
Great, and did you have some kind of say in which play was selected?
Yes, so Aaron Gans, the artistic director, and myself, along with our PR and communications director, Paris Langley, and a couple of other people, we all sit around, various times in the season and talk about the kind of things that we want to see done in the season, how we want to organize ourselves, and what we're ambitious to try artistically. And so we kind of put together a list, and then from there we cull it down and to the project that we're really excited about. And so that's how stuff like Much Ado gets done. That's how we chose this season of, this, to our rep cycle coming up next, of Václav Havel's Vonic trilogy and Steve Martin's The Underpants, and our original piece Joan of Arc, and then Three Sisters after that. We want to be ambitious with our art, so it's like that's kind of how we want to choose.
So you basically prefer the classics then?
I think there's something in the classics that lends itself to an epic tale that we don't see often in new work, though we are fans of shepherding new work. Every third Thursday of every month we have an open mic and a cabaret here where we get to workshop new plays. I myself am workshopping a play called Stages with a playwright named Julio Vera, and so we're kind of workshopping that over the course of the year and seeing where that can develop. But in terms of the season at large, there's something in the epic nature of those classic tales that we're really drawn to. But as you can see in our production of Much Ado, we like to fold in the modern as well, because it's not that we want to dumb down anything, God forbid. We're interested in sort of elevating the audience up in a way that they're going to understand the big themes that we're tackling and those sorts of things. So, I guess that answers the question. We like the classics for that reason, but there's something new, especially we talked about Joan of Arc. That's an original piece, and we're taking chunks from every Joan of Arc play that there is, and we're kind of mushing it together and creating our own version of that story to highlight the things we're passionate about exploring in that.
And whose decision was it, first of all, to add all the movement, the dance, and the songs to them?
Well, that's our director, Aaron Gans. One of the things that he really loves exploring in his work is how we fold in interdisciplinary stuff. So modern music, modern dance. There's something that's, I guess, more poetic in a way, or more elevated about those forms when we sort of intersperse them with the text. We want to think about a moment that we have in the play that we want to sort of crack that nut open and get right to the heart of what they're about. Beatrice and Benedict have a great dance towards the end of the play where they really get to express intimately what each means to the other one. That we have that moment in the play, but we wanted to open that up a little bit and give them a chance to really explore what that meant and what that felt like. And I think it's good for the audience too, because it gives them a perspective and a scope to sort of see these characters, and it's a little bit different than what they normally get, probably.
Okay. So you have so much experience. Do you have any advice for any younger actors?
Oh gosh, work as much as is humanly possible. Support 99-seat theaters. That's where you're going to cut your teeth. That's where you're going to learn what kind of art you like, and get a chance to push yourself and do works that you maybe wouldn't be cast for other places. Work as much as you can, and never, ever stop taking classes. Voice classes, movement classes, acting classes, never stop. Because if you stop, it will go away, and you'll just languish. You'll sit on your heels, and you have to be growing the whole time.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, thanks so much, man.
Sir? Hello, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
My name is Donovan Ayub. I was born and raised in Mexico City. When I was 16 years old, I moved up to Oregon. So I consider myself an Oregonian also. When I was 17, 18-ish, I decided to become an actor, and so I moved down here to LA. I play Antonio and Conrad. Conrad is Borachio and Don John's friend. He's like Ed in The Lion King. If you've ever seen The Lion King, he's like Ed. He's just, a goon trying to help out his team, do some mischievous things. Antonio is Leonardo's brother. So my job is to help him out with which way I can. And for this adaptation of Much Ado, I am the father of Beatrice. That's about it.
And what's your favorite part about this theater company or this particular performance?
My favorite part of this theater company is the fact that every performance is a learning performance. From the day we just did the table read to closing night, we will be learning a lot. Aaron is a great person to work with. Probably one of the most sincere, most kind people I've ever worked with. Hardworking, great director.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much, guys.
Hello, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
My name is Mary M. Finger. I have been involved with TE San Pedro Rep for almost 3 years now, and in this current production I play Hero and Verges, and I also manage a yoga studio, which is kind of random.
Which is your favorite character?
Oh, that's impossible. That's an impossible question to answer. Hero is amazing and strong and very much a person who I can relate to. And Verges is so fun and so wild and so ambitious, and so it's really, really hard to choose between them.
What's your favorite part about this play?
My favorite part about this play is being able to jump on my impulses and to let it be different every single night. The show that you saw tonight is going to be different than the show that the house sees tomorrow and the day after that. It's different than it was yesterday. And that's my favorite thing about being able to perform here.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. My name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
Hi, I'm Sam Fleming. I'm playing Benedict. I'm a company member of Tesper, and right now I live in East Hollywood. I grew up in Massachusetts, about 45 minutes northeast of Boston. I started acting in 5th grade. My first role was as a Munchkin in The Wizard of Oz, and I haven't stopped acting since. I did a lot of musicals early on, but then started out doing Shakespeare in 8th and 9th grade, and I've really loved studying Shakespeare, but it's an entirely different beast when you get him on his feet. So it's really fun to get back to this in this show. I'm playing Benedict and Watchman number 2. Benedict is kind of the jokester at the beginning. He comes back from war with the other men and he sees Beatrice, and it's clear that they have a bit of a history, but kind of a relationship where they fight in public, but they like kind of the crowds watching them and laughing at their jokes and all that, and they're known for their wit. But then during the show, their friends get the idea to trick them so that they fall in love with each other, because they've each sworn that they'll never fall in love, they'll never get married, but they both fall for the trick and find love, and kind of the facade falls off. So it's a really fun arc to play as an actor. And then the other role is just one of the Watchmen, which is just really slapstick comedy, a lot of fun, a lot of physical comedy that goes with that. So it's been a great challenge, tiring, but worth it.
This Theatre Elysium, it seems a little different from the other theaters. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I had my first production with them last summer, this past year, called The Lady of Shalott, and that was actually an original show based on Arthurian legends, but became apparent right away that it's just such a different approach to theater. A really big focus on ensemble building from the beginning, so that we trust each other, we trust what's around us in the environment, so that no night is going to be the same as the previous one. It's a lot about jumping off your impulses and being ready in the moment, connecting with your breath. So there's a lot of emphasis on that during the rehearsal process. But even just this type of space is very unique. It's a small space. It used to be a doctor's office, but we've converted it into a theater that's, we start outside, we go inside, the audience moves with us, so they're kind of swept up in the story, and they're sitting a couple feet in front of us, so it's like there's no fourth wall as with a typical proscenium stage. So it's a challenge at the same time as being really fun.
Was there a decision not to do English accents with this?
I wasn't privy to that conversation at all, but with Lady of Shalott last year, we did variations of British accents. I had kind of a North Country accent. There were Irish and Welsh accents, and our vocal coach, Chris Lang, who's also in the cast, he loves pushing us on that stuff. But I think Shakespeare, a lot of it is just about making the language connect with ourselves and connect with the audience, and however that manifests itself. It's just about finding the truth and passion in the words, and we didn't do accents, but I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, actually I like the performance a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Of course, thank you.
My name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
Martin Mendez. I've been a company member here at Theater San Pedro for a year now. This is my first year with the company. I used to work in the film industry doing special effects, and then I quit that to go to school full-time. I trained at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and then Playhouse West for a short amount of time before coming here. So yeah, I'm here now full-time, doing theater and still doing film on the side.
Which characters did you play?
I play Leonardo and Braccio.
Okay, and which one was your favorite?
Oh man, again, not to sound cliche, but it's kind of like what Mary said. It's hard to pick because they each have their own kind of a flavor to them. So they're both enjoyable to play in different ways. So Leonardo is the father in the play of Hero, who is the one who gets wronged during the wedding. He's kind of a boisterous, kind of funny type dad, very kind-hearted, and yeah, a good all-around guy. Braccio is a soldier who came back from the war with Don Pedro and Don John. He's actually Don John's right-hand man. And he and Don John are kind of the mischief makers of the play. He's definitely the one who sets up and kind of makes the plan flow with Hero being set up for what happens to her at her wedding. So, yeah.
You actually had a little interplay amongst yourself. That was very interesting. A lot of times I don't see that working. Any comments you have on that?
Yeah, you know what? That was, I like every other scene, a little bit of a challenge working it out, but we got a great director in Aaron and stuff like that who gives us, the tools we need to work those things out and figure them out. But yeah, I'm proud of what we've done here, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.
How did you separate the two characters? I noticed you shrank your arm a little bit on one character.
Yeah, that was just a character choice, in particular for that character, to kind of set him apart. I have my reasons behind why I do that. There is a reason for it. What I worked out with Aaron was, in the switching characters so quickly, was, making the point to call the other character out of myself. So, asking a question with such purpose that it would draw the other character out of me to answer it. So that's kind of how I worked and went about the switch like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
I am Carissa Pacia-Smith. Okay. I have been into acting since I was little in elementary school and junior high, and then I graduated from college, studied something completely different, and did a lot of other things for a while, explored other interests and passions, but I couldn't leave it at that, and I had to go back to acting. I'm just so passionate about it. So this is kind of my revival back into acting for the first time since I was little. I played the boy, I was the messenger boy, and Ursula. The boy was a soldier who came from the war ahead of the soldiers to give the good news to Leonardo and his family that the war is over and that everyone's coming home. And then I also just kind of do random errands as the boy and give messages here and there. And then Ursula is the handmaiden to Hero, and there's sort of this love story between Ursula and Balthazar that wasn't in the original Much Ado text, but that our director Aaron put in this text. So there's 3 love stories instead of 2 in Much Ado About Nothing. So my love story is between Ursula, the handmaiden, and Balthazar, who's the minstrel of the soldiers who've come home.
Yeah, this seems different. There's a lot of twists in this form of Shakespeare, which I guess some people would consider blasphemous or something. But actually, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, in his time, I'm no Shakespeare expert, but I know you spoke with AJ, who has 2 degrees in Shakespeare, and he's constantly telling me that Shakespeare was a dirty, dirty man, and he was a hilarious man, and he did lots of things that were out of the ordinary or pushing the boundaries. So I feel like it's only appropriate to push the boundaries when doing a Shakespeare play.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hello, my name is Ashton Marcus with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you are?
AJ Sclafani. I've been performing in theater for a very, very long time, since high school. I got my undergraduate degree at San Diego State, and then I went and got 2 master's degrees in Shakespeare in Virginia, Stanton, Virginia. And then I have moved back out here to LA to pursue acting. I played Balthazar. Balthazar is a soldier in Don Pedro's army, and he is the de facto musician of the group, kind of the bard of them. And in our production of it, he is also one of the three lovers. He has a love plot with Ursula, who is a handmaiden in the household.
What was your favorite thing about this play?
My favorite thing was the song that I sing for Benedict's trick scene, because I get to go way far out and be very ridiculous with it, and I get to interact with the audience in a very, very fun way. I don't want to give away too much of it.
I loved your portrayal.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, I'm Ashton Marcus with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
Aaron Gans. I am the Artistic Director of Theatrum Elysium San Pedro Rep, and specifically the director here of Much Ado About Nothing.
This seemed like a different version of Much Ado About Nothing. Do you have any comments on that?
I appreciate that, but I would hope that it's unique is what you mean by different, and that ultimately with every new piece that we take on over here, you have to find an in. I mean, as artists, we all, whether it's a play someone else has written or really anything, there's a blank canvas in front of you. And what's important is that you figure out what is the beating heart of the piece, why do you want to say it, and that you dare, sort of boldly and fearlessly, to scratch the itch you have internally. And a person who sits in front of a canvas, a painter, can't sit there painting their work wondering at whether people are going to appreciate or understand their version of a sunrise. There's an itch inside of them and they have to scratch at it. Beautiful thing is we have Shakespeare's language, and so that's a point where we would never want to mess with. We want to honor that. We want to find a way to bring our modern audience here in San Pedro. We want to honor the visceral component of what it's like to watch theater, Shakespeare's theater, the same way it was back in the day. And back then you had somebody who was creating theater where at any moment in time the king or queen's guard can bust in, arrest everybody. Stuff they were talking about was at the highest levels of danger or salaciousness. And the groundlings, people are standing there bumping into each other. It's a very active, visceral experience. And so for me, when I'm directing something, specifically Shakespeare, I want to make sure that it gets into the bones. It beats in the heart of the audience, that they're not simply watching it from a seat, in an auditorium where all the action is happening on a stage somewhere else. That it's something that affects their modern soul, while at the same time bringing them to Shakespeare's language. So if it's unique in that way, where it's accessible and passionate and something that one feels and experiences versus something that one watches, then I'd say we're moving towards the success we're after.
I look at the theater and I see small, but when you look at it, do you see movement? I notice there's a lot of movement in there.
Most assuredly. Small, I guess, would be a little subjective. It may be defined by the size of the space, the amount of a budget. But in terms of art, small, I think, has to do with vision. And the size has to do, I should say, with vision. And us as a company, we are not just ambitious, but we're focused. And our goal is to create this sort of teaching theater experience, a place where the performing arts we don't stop learning and growing and challenging ourselves just because we move into a professional sense. Ultimately, we're a teaching theater where the professional company serves as the teachers and mentors to the developing artists in our conservatory. And that beautiful cycle, that cycle of mentorship that infuses knowledge and awareness and opens up the freedoms of a developing artist, who then infuses that freedom into a company or professionals and broadens our horizons. I mean, that's the dynamic we're shaping, but we have to start somewhere. And we've started here in a space in San Pedro that's amidst a very large and ambitious artistic community. They're a community that's betting on the arts. They're a community that has, I think, 5 to 6 theater companies in a 2-block radius. So for us, it's a landing zone. It's a place where we set down our roots, where we feed off of the dynamics of the community, where we learn and embrace the culture that's going on through the many different artists, visual artists, theater companies, musicians, dancing studios in the area. There's tons of artist studios up and down our block. So yes, while our space may be small, our company has an enormous heart and has designs on being a Lord A regional theater company, a company that has multiple multiple disciplines, studying and growing, and then infusing that same growth into a professional company of dancers, of actors, of artists, of directors, of designers, all feeding off each other's creativity and moving forward. It starts here in San Pedro, but ultimately its designs are very forward moving. And so yes, we are a moving company. We are moving forward while at the same time embracing every edge, every nook and cranny of the space we currently have.
Well, I actually remember seeing a movie about Romeo and Juliet. They sang Purple Rain in it. It didn't work for me. But actually a lot of your modern songs, a lot of your dance, actually it worked for me. I got a lot of it.
I think you're referring to Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. And it's not supposed to work for everybody, art. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I love the fact that you saw Romeo and Juliet. I love the fact that you saw this, that you're exposing yourself to art. And truthfully, it's okay to be bothered by choices that other people make as well. It's okay to ruffle some edges. And if we don't attempt in that direction, if we're not fearless in scratching that personal itch, that communal itch, that collaborative itch, then we're not really expressing ourselves. And isn't art a lens in which we see the world? And some people sing what they understand about love. Some people paint it, some people dance it, some people act it, but at the end of the day, we've decided that Shakespeare is a two-way street. We don't want to dumb down the language and treat our audiences as incapable of being able to reach that poetic sphere. We want to own the language in such a way where we can bring people to Shakespeare. But at the same time, Shakespeare is not meant to be in a library somewhere. The whole play doesn't have to be put into on the moon or in a western for it to be accessible. Sometimes Shakespeare writes in a song, or he writes in a moment where it says, "Hero swoons after Claudio attacks her at this wedding, and the moment she thinks she's about to marry the love of her life, he attacks her and treats her like she's a common whore." What a shock! And it says in the script, Shakespeare writes, "Hero swoons." That's an interpretive moment. And for me, that's a moment that we open the door. I mean, I look at Hero as a great example of what I've tried to add it into this piece. Hero is a character many people say, why is she so weak? Why is she so silent? So many people are accusing her of so many things she doesn't, and she barely speaks. And I just thought that, people speak in many different ways. Not everyone finds words, but their heart, their mind, their soul is speaking loudly. And so sometimes it's something like dance that can open that up and allow us to taste it just enough where we can go deeper into the story, we can experience it more inside of ourselves. And that's a moment that I think is interpretive of, or representative, I should say, of the aesthetic I've tried to bring to this piece, specifically infusing modern music and dance into something so wonderfully classical and very beautiful on its own. It doesn't need my interpretation, but hopefully that experience of infusing that modern music, that modern dance, it's something that opens up the modern audience's heart to something so beautiful, Much Ado About Nothing.
What do you look for when you do your casting?
What I look for is potential. I go all in on potential. Unlike other companies I've auditioned for or that have experienced their audition process, I am all in on potential. The actors in this company, many of them have never danced before. Many of them have never sung before. Many of them have never performed Shakespeare before. Those are secondary. Beautiful thing about theater is it's about getting there versus starting there. And we got to fall in love with rehearsal and theater. It's about being an adventurer. It's about being someone who's curious and hungry. And so what I look for in the audition process are three components. It's what I look for in our company members, but even someone who's a guest artist here. Three specific and important components that I will bet on and have never failed me to date. The first is a hunger to grow. The type of directors, the type of vocal coaches and choreographers, dance and fight that we have in our building at the highest level. They are beautiful professionals with wondrous vision and amazing teachers as well. All they need is someone who will work harder than anybody else to get there. And that's something I'm willing to bet on. There's an honesty in that when an audience experiences that performance. Someone who is not just phoning it in, not just taking it for granted, who has fought, scratched, and clawed towards being able to express themselves in dance. The other thing I look for besides a hunger to grow is a generosity of spirit. The type of ambition that we have over here in theater, that we push the boundaries and fall in love with the theatrical art form, it means it's not always convenient. It means it's not always easy to figure out how you can succeed in that direction. I love people who exist in the dark and don't race to turn on the light. There's something about that needs a generosity of spirit surrounding it that allows you to be seen as wonderful, beautiful, and capable, even if you're in the dark and you haven't yet figured out where that direction is towards the light. So a hunger to grow and a generosity of spirit are fundamental, but nothing is more important to me than a personal professional pride. And that is the third component, something inside you that asks you to go beyond the first taste of success. We all settle for the first taste of success too many times, especially in theater, especially when the rehearsal process is truncated, especially when we are living life in Los Angeles or it's tough to get down to San Pedro for a rehearsal. Personal professional pride, that component, means that a person doesn't need prodding, that they have something, that itch that I talk about inside, that they will continue to claw and scratch at because it matters, because it's meaningful. And so hunger to grow, generosity of spirit, personal professional pride, those are the things I'm looking for amidst some level of readiness for the piece that we're casting for.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing will be playing at Theatrum Elysium, San Pedro Rep, from March 15th to May 3rd. For more information, go to www.sanpedrorep.org or search for AMB Theater on Facebook.